长，靠着家乡喷射机，遥远无际，用一些生命想创造历史传说，每一天都不停创造传说，不管好坏都会成为传说。它的危险真心背后，提高警觉，提防万年，不要害怕，只要相信传说。每一天都不停创造传说，不管好坏都会成为传说，是天方夜谭都会成为传说。
大家好，欢迎来到我们的介绍的养鹰。Right, for those who did not understand my first bit, I said, hello and welcome to our presentation on Mandarin ducks. That is what I said, I swear. Google Translate, thank you. Right, let's start off with a bit of background information, because we need that. We need that, yeah. Like the name suggests, the Mandarin duck comes from East Asia, namely Russia, China, Taiwan, Japan, North Korea, and in some cases even escaped individuals have formed colonies in Europe and North America. If for some obscene reason you had never seen a Mandarin duck before, they resemble something like this little bugger up there. They're small, shiny, playful, I guess, if you can call a duck playful, and much more colourful than your average mallard, but they're quite colourful anyway, so yeah. As much as it would stimulate your eardrums to hear me blabber on about the history and religion behind the Mandarin duck, I'm just gonna skim over it lightly. To put it simply, Mandarin ducks are in everything. Shintoism, Taoism, Buddhism, everything in Eastern Europe, representing exactly the same thing. Love, fertility, and so on and so forth in relationships and such. But I digress. Now, let's move on to the digestive system of the animal itself. Now, Mandarin ducks are just like any other waterfowl. They follow a kind of monogastric digestive system with a bit of a adaptation. Now then, I'm going to hand you over to my good friend and co-host DJ Khaled, as he's going to run through the digestive system with you personally.
Another one, another one, another one, another one, another one, and another one, and another one.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay? No more!
I do sincerely apologise for that display. He obviously hasn't been let out of his cage in quite some time. I'll make sure he gets more walks out to do it. We also must give a special thanks to Frank for putting away that hideous monster back into his cage. So thank you, Frank, for that.
Small loan of $1 million. I started off.
Hey, boss!
Right, moving swiftly on, let's talk about what each of the parts do. I will only run through the two main parts that are different, namely the crop and the gizzard. The crop is a sac-like chamber located in the esophagus that stores and softens seeds and other foodstuffs ready to be passed on to the gizzard. In between the crop and the gizzard there is an organ called the proventriculus, or however the hell you want to pronounce it, which basically pre-digests the food before it heads into the gizzard. As you may or may not know, birds have no teeth, which means they need to do something else. That's what the gizzard is for. The birds will eat like grit, stones and small things that head down into the gizzard and crush the food, where it is then passed on to the small intestine for absorption, and then finally the cloaca to be passed out. Now then, let's find out how the bird actually eats. Mandarins are naturally foragers, dabbling through shallow waters for insects, water plants, amphibians and small fish, or sometimes venturing overlands to graze on grains, nuts, seeds and other small animals. Mandarin ducks are nocturnal feeders, but they take food during the day given the opportunity. They also very rarely upend or dive to reach submerged foods. Now let's move on to the nutrition requirements of the duck. Like most ducks, mandarins require a lot of protein in their diet. However, they only need each individual amino acid. such as this one, that one, this one, that one, and this one. Now the next bit is going to be nice and simple. I'm going to show a small clip of a mandarin duck eating in captivity. That was a small clip indeed. Now then, I'm going to compare two commercial duck feeds that are on the market. I'm only really going to be comparing the protein in these two diets, as protein is what they need the most. The first one is Wildlife Food Duck Pellet, which contains 15% protein, and looks like this is the only real image you can get of it, so yeah. And the second one is Missouri Waterfowl Maintenance, which contains 14%, which is 1.25% less than the wildlife food. On the fly maths, loving it. And again, on the Missouri website, you can only find pictures of the pellet themselves, so 14% protein is all I can really find. Now, last but not least, we're going to be talking about the ways of presenting the food to the animal. The way we feed the mandarin ducks here at Sparshot is by literally chucking the food in the water, as is necessary, as water ducks kind of makes sense. But you can also see in the video you can place them in bowls and just fill it up with water, depending what type of feed you get and how it needs to be presented, but the best way is ideally throwing it in the water and let the duck forage for itself. And thus ends this almighty presentation. I hope you have endured this well, and I'm sorry if my voice was very monotone. Thank you for listening, I guess. Oh yeah, now's the bit where we run the royalty-free ukulele in the background whilst the credits are rolling.
No, this is not okay. It's time to stop.